Hello everyone and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 266. Today is Saturday, March 2nd, 2019, and I'm glad you could join me today. It has been dreary. March has come in like a lion, so hopefully it'll go out like a lamb. So, it shouldn't be too crazy, but it's been weird. Today has just been a seriously weird day, but whatever. I had a hard time going to sleep, so I woke up after the right number of hours of sleep and the day got away from me, but whatever, such is life. So there's still a couple of things left on my must-do list for today, but I figured I would just record a podcast and call it good. So that is the plan. So I'm a little bit, what would it be? I'm not entirely sure that I remember everything that I worked on this week, but I am amused because my stack of hats is getting a little bit crazy here. So, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I are done. I have started K. And now we're getting to the point where I don't necessarily remember what letter goes with what number. But I believe I have 9 in the stack. So 3. Yeah. So the 10th one since January has been started. But these will be good. I still need to sit down and actually figure out what the yardage is, because they all count for SSK knitting. So this is the one I finished yesterday. So I started with oranges and pinks and then sort of went into blues and greens and a little bit of like gray and black as well. So this has Cascade Dulce, a mysterious fluffy pink yarn, a mysterious yarn I got at a local yarn shop, Malabrigo, my shoppable lace ball, and then some Surrey Merino hand paints, and then some mysterious yarn that I think actually came from high school. I knit a scarf for my friend Brenna that involved Intarsia stars, because that's the sort of knitter I was. Yeah. And then there might be some, there is a little bit of Green Mountain Spinnery Alpaca Elegance, which is in a very dark green, nearly black. It's like a charcoaly green, if that makes sense. So all sorts of yarns in this. It's going to be such a pain to figure out how much yardage is in here. But this one was one of the chunky ones. I knitted on US 9s. This hat here is one of the DK ones, so this has the Cascade Dolce and the coral color, and then I have Cascade 220 Merino Superwash, which is amazing. It's like such a nice yarn. It makes me happy. And then I don't remember whether or not I have this one finished, but this one is the same yarns, but a different stripedy pattern. So this one has Fibonacci stripes because that amused me, so I restarted the Fibonacci once I started the rectangular panels, and then I have a Fibonacci stripe and the vertical ones. So it's just cool how you can have the same yarns and just do different striping patterns, and then it's still interesting and fun. So I don't know whether or not I don't know when I've finished these things. I finish one and then I start the next. So, but these ones are the ones I know I did this week. And it is so squishy. I'm really liking it. So, they make for good little hats. I think I was wearing this last night while I was knitting my additional one. I like how, depending on where you end up putting the panel ends up resulting in a very different look. So this one has, I don't know, I sort of like them this way personally. So nice little beanie, covers my head, can stretch to fit all sorts of sizes of heads. So not too shabby. And I still have yarn left to go. Actually, I left my bag of yarn left to go in the car, and I'm not gonna go and get it, but I can show, like, it seemed like there was a distinct possibility that there would be a little bit of knitting and hanging out, and then it was denied. So we'll do this instead. So I guess I could finish the row. So I have started my 10th tense field. Like, there's a certain amount of symmetry in that. And I switched back to more of a DK worsted weight gauge for this one. I think it's probably more worstedy. So what I am doing is I am holding several yarns together and then striping two. So I still I've incorporated this Malabrigo lace into many hats, but I still have some left. It's getting much more depleted now. It seemed for a while there that it was never going to run out. But hopefully I'll be able to finish off this hat. So I have my Malabrigo lace. Then I believe that this is SMC Sport Wool in a fuchsia color. And true to form, the fuchsia on the screen is not right because purple is only filled with disappointment. And then this is Fileta de Crossa Sport Wool, but it's really a DK. So what I'm doing here is I'm alternating the bigger yarns, and then I'm holding the Malabrigo doubled throughout. So that's probably burning through it like a little bit faster. Whatever, I'm not sure. It just seems like this skein's never gonna end. Like, this skein is a part of my Wild Apples bohus. This, it's part of this skein is a part of my Daybreak, which was the project I originally bought it for. And now it is in 2 hats, and now the 3rd. And it just keeps giving. It won't stop. Can't stop. So I had started this hat last night, and then I ended up getting hit by some pretty bad insomnia, so I ended up knitting on this hat while watching Lucy Worsley on bootleg BBC history videos. And just watch all of her little mini-series. So this mini-series was about the elegance and decadence of the Regency. If you want a British person to talk to you with their delightful English accent, then this is an option. So there we go. So I'm thinking I'm actually going, so this is the right side fabric, and then this is the wrong side fabric, and I'm thinking I'm liking the wrong side for this particular hat. And then I'll probably end up changing the striping sequence up a little bit when I get to the rectangular sections of the pattern. So I still have several more pairs of rows to go before I get my size to where I want it to be. I can measure, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need whatever, I think it's 16. Or I need 16 times 4, so 60. So I need 64 stitches, so about 180 or 128 total for this guy. So, but I think that'll look cute. The worsted weight ones definitely go much slower, but there's been something really nice. So these are both yarns that I ended up getting in swaps. I think they're both, I don't know, I think they're both 50-gram balls. So it's just like a pretty small amount of wool. It's really nice. It's really nice quality. I've been enjoying working with it. It's just the case where they aren't my typical colors. I'm normally not a fuchsia person, as you do. But all this dyeing with breaking stuff is resulting in all sorts of interesting fuchsia shades, so who knows. At some point I probably just need to switch over to, what would it be, the slightly more dangerous acid dyes. Because I think what I'm coming to realize is that when I've been using food coloring, especially with fleece, it just breaks like a bandit. So if I wanted something to turn out a certain way, it's just like a complete crapshoot. It is less, but not eliminated, crapshoot while using the professional stuff. So, whatever. It's not like I'm gonna go buy something right away, but that's just something I've been pondering. Okay. So, I've shown you a pretty decent bulk of my knitting right there. I'm pretty sure I didn't work on my sweater this week. But like, it's not like I've reached the stop point because I've run out of yarn. Oh wait, we just, like, I have to spin more. So I think that has impeded my mojo. But I have gotten actually quite a bit done on this. So this is my Luna Moth shawl, which I am knitting with Elan Silicon Kid and Lion Brand wool stainless. Which, technically speaking, I think it's the same stuff as the Habu. So I think they just put their own label on it. So what's cool about this is that actually the lace is really open. Yes, that's what we need to do. We need to hold it over the gray wall. It's like a bluey gray, but so you can see here, like, this is a very open little shawl going on here. So half the pattern is intuitive and really readable. The other half of the pattern is just like an inverse of it, and it is slightly more challenging to read your knitting. So you can maybe see that there's like a place here where there's like a discontinuity and stuff like that. Or maybe you can see, I don't know whether or not you can, but the pattern doesn't necessarily flow neatly into itself. So there are sections which have these lined up eyelets, which are really graphic and easy to see. And then there's these sections where there's still the same number of eyelets, but they're sort of caught up in decreases. So then you end up seeing some of this like holy stuff over here is sort of a slightly inverted version of the pattern. I don't know, it's interesting. So I am half a repeat in to my second round, and I'm just going to keep doing this over and over again. So I tried to show on Instagram stories sort of what's going on with both the stretchiness of this shawl as well as the formability of this shawl, because I am using that stainless steel yarn. Like these are both like really stinking thin, right? So this is the stainless strand, and it is perfectly easily pliable. It it has maybe occasionally you get something that's like a little bit of a rough hand. I can't tell if it's several steel fibers or if it is something else. There's basically just wool wrapped around it. I can't tell if it's just a single thing and then the wool is wrapped around it. But what it ends up doing is, so you see how this is like a straight edge. I can make it not straight and straight again really, really easily. So it is very, very formable. So if you make it do something, like stretching it out in this way, then it holds its shape completely. But then at the same time, you just do a little tug and it's straight again. So it's very interesting just because it's still soft and squishy and pliable, but at the same time, it's also really fluffy and open. And then it does have a tremendous amount of stretch to it. So it has as much stretch as I would expect for knitting. The thing about the lace is that because I think that steel yarn is giving it a lot more structure, it looks like lace and it didn't need to get blocked in order to do that. So pretty cool. But like there isn't too much sacrifice in that. So I'm not sure how well this is going to end up holding a block. It already actually looks pretty good without blocking. And then what's interesting about it, just because of the fact that you can form it and reform it so easily. So it's a very different experience than anything I've ever played with before, which is cool. And I think that this is going to end up growing reasonably quickly. I was surprised actually that I managed to bang out so much of it this week. It was just a case where I sat down and worked a session on it. And then I was like, after I think I did the first, I don't know when I ended up doing my little demo. I think I did my demo and then I did another half repeat. Because I liked the first half of the chart. The second half of the chart I don't like as much, but whatever. So, I'm not quite sure how things are going to go down when I need to join. Hopefully I will need to join the mohair silk at the same time as the steel. But it has been an interesting project so far. So this is a part of my Knit the Precious Cow. So this is going to be going on until the end of April. And this is, in my case, I think this ends up hitting a lot of buttons because this was the oldest full skein in my stash. And you know me, I like to dig around in the bottom a little bit and figure out like, okay, it's been a while. Let's use this. So interestingly, this is a bit of a blast from the past because this was like, we're just taking the clock back to 2011. So feel free to find something that you think's been pretty precious to knit with and like treat yourself. It should be pretty nice. But it's just fun to do this. You know how hard it is to do this when you don't have another hand to hold the camera? It was pretty challenging to find a way to properly film how formable this is. So much easier with a webcam. So not too bad. I did make some pretty significant progress this week. It is some pretty mindful knitting. Like I can't lose my forehead as the white object. Like there's just no give to the yarn at all. But once you form it into loops, then it's like a little spring. So I thought that was cool. So thanks for the question, Jose. Let's see. So that is coming along, and let's see. the author of pattern is Shui Gwen Kaczynski. So, sounds like she married a Polak. I married a Polak too, but he has a Chinese last name, so. Shenanigans. So, I am pretty sure I didn't work on my breathing space this week. It was nearby, but it isn't like knitting garter and knitting sleeves in the round are all that different from each other, so I don't know what the bluff was there. So I'm just on a Tensfield rampage. So I believe when I look at the bag of yarn, it's definitely much depleted at this point. And I sort of have ideas for what my next color combo is going to be when I immediately cast on yet another Tensfield hat. And there are probably 1 to 2 more hats left in that bag. And then I think I will have knit up most of the yarn that I don't really have a plan for. I might also throw this skein in there too. I'm keeping these ones though because look at this guy here. I do have plans for this one. I don't have plans for this one, but it's really pretty. These are leftovers from the blanket that I got, the gift blanket that I got, so I don't want to use all of those. I don't know what I'm going to do about this gray skein of wool, so that's extra. But I don't want any of the charity hats either. So unless I start cracking into I don't know, my lace bag is also much more empty than what it was before. So, I haven't documented some of the yarn in here, but whatever. So, this guy here is actually merino and cashmere, like a 90-10 merino cashmere cobweb. And it's not even a full 100 grams, but I did dye it. So, I don't know, I think I'm pretty good on my scrap usage right now. I think the only thing that would make me go pretty wild is if I start breaking into this guy. So this is my fingering weight scraps. And I think I'm actually going to bring this down with me. So it would be the case where, like, I want to reserve some of it because I am repairing my socks and fixing them as problems come up, so I would like to have at least a little bit left behind for that sort of thing. But then some of this other stuff, I can't tell whether or not I want to where's this taking me? I can't tell whether or not I would if the socks are no longer in my possession, would it just make more sense to use it all up and incorporate it into some of these hats? Because if I go super duper crazy, then I'm going to be holding 4 of them at the same time and marling like a mad fool. So making chunky weight fingering held quadruple hats. So I think some of these I would like to sew. I don't want to use every last little scrap of it, but what I have right now is probably more than I really need, so. I'm looking at some of my, so then this is another thing, which still has a decent amount of yarn from a bunch of different things as well. So, I don't know. It's an interesting question. Because I have, like, I wonder if I actually have enough, because this is sort of the more substantial amounts of yarn, but some of this, I probably don't need to keep either, you know what I mean? So, I'm not sure what way I'm gonna end up going, but see, now we're in danger of never stopping knitting Tensfield hats ever. Oh well, you just gotta ride the mojo. That's where my mojo is right now. It is doing a good job of like getting weight out of my stash. It certainly is a project that seems to go boom, boom, boom. And they're very easy to carry around, so that ends up making it nice because I don't have to think very much about, like, is this project appropriate for this situation? It's fine. What would it be? I'm not bored. No, like, really cleared stuff out. I was like, see, now I'm just wondering. I was like, what's this one? I got it. So, whatever. We'll make it work. And this, like, saves me the bother of having to make a trip to go downstairs. So, I did do some spinning this week. We'll see whether or not we can bring the wheel into the field of view with this close configuration. It is not looking very positive though. Like, you can see some of the fiber, but how do I want to do this? This is only like slightly precarious. So that's gonna fall over. So this is the bobbin I currently have on the wheel. I don't have a lot, but I do have a little. So this is my Nest Superwash Merino Silk in the mistletoe colorway that I am spinning to make the final skein that I need to finish my breathing space. Breathing space has been an epic. But I think we're getting really close. So that is the first of 3 that I'm going to be making. I did a traditional 3-ply when I spun that. I swapped the wheel around. I started on the second ratio of my fast flyer, and I just wasn't feeling it, so I went to the slowest ratio on my fast flyer. And now I need to spin and apply 4 ounces of yarn. So, I've been more in a Tensfield hat knitting mood, so I think that's taken a lot of my spinning time. But, whatever, such is life. So, so it's coming along. I may need to switch, so it was the case where I was trying to change where I sat in the living room to try to give myself a little bit more back support. So I have a very, very deep couch, so it takes a lot of pillows to have back support, and sometimes I just don't use it. So I have a couch which is sort of more of a normal thickness, or a more normal depth, but that still doesn't quite give me the support I need either. It's a little bit, it's actually, I think it's like a little bit taller too, so it isn't quite as comfortable to spin from that location. So I'm gonna have to figure out if I end up going with like a folding chair or a dining room chair or something like that to spin from instead. I'm not sure. So probably the dining room chair, unless that's too tall too. But I do want to change that up a little bit because I have been having pain, and there's something about knitting that makes you do this, and so it's like, so I've been trying to figure out something that ends up making sense. And then I have really been enjoying this, so I am amused. And don't worry. Let's see. It does not contain crack. So unfortunately I don't think that this is available for the wider public, but it is a cider that I can buy at Whole Foods, so that ends up making it super duper easy. I don't think it's one that I can buy at more of a national chain style grocery store, so it is brewed in Talus, so that's why I'm assuming that it's unobtainable elsewhere. But it was a little bit because one of them is makes like a Star Wars joke, and this one is also pretty funny as well. I think these are their two flavors that are the most hilarious. And then they have some other really crazy ones. I'm not sure whether or not I'm willing to. Like, I think they have like a mango habanero, or maybe it's a mango jalapeno. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether or not I'm willing to spend the money if it turns out it's really terrible. But if it's tasty, I guess it doesn't matter. Whatever. Maybe that'll be my next adventure, because shouldn't be too crazy. So the last thing that I must do today is I must edit my resume. So this job search thing sucks so much. I've had something that's been working really well for me for quite some time, but based on a couple of misses for things that I think should have been home runs, it was like, you know what? Like there must be something odd that people don't want to talk to me. So I'll be working on that. But it's like, oh my gosh. So I have a phone call tomorrow with my husband's HR expert aunt, and she's already given me a lot of good feedback. But whatever, I'll survive. But it's like. Oh well, it shouldn't be too crazy. Maybe I can sneak some Rose on the Tensfield hat as I'm doing it, so that shouldn't be too terrible. I have other things in the bag I want to share. Nah. My bag is full and I brought it upstairs, and I pulled one thing out of it and put several things in, so I should be able to record next week. It may be the case where, or this time my father-in-law is not around. He's visiting his little brother. But whatever. There's going to be a couple more weeks of home projects. And doing all sorts of other random and various things. But such is life. And then part of it, I think, is also just decluttering and getting rid of things I don't need, or going through boxes and figuring out what happened exactly. I found a lot of older knitting that had been in a box, so it included like some gifts, some stuff even from high school, and other such things. So I think it's the case where I'm going to sort of sort through them and figure out some more charity hat options and that sort of thing, because I don't need that many. And I was excited because some things that I thought had been lost were just a few feet further in the closet, so not terrible. But yeah, no, that's sort of where I've been lately, is trying to make sure that sort of the anxiety and uncertainty doesn't prevent me from doing what I need to do. And trying to channel it in a way that does some good. So I think that's why I've been on such a kick, because it's just like where I am right now. I just have to accept it. Y'all said. I know. You probably actually have to be a little bit. What would it be? This is actually extremely hard to do right. It's very hard to do, or it's very easy to do wrong. It's very hard to do right. So, alas. So, shouldn't be too crazy for next week. So that will be the 9th or the 10th. And I look forward to talking to you guys again. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.